It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
We are making the virtual HBCU experience available wherever you live through Stillman Online. We offer online degrees in business, criminal justice, psychology, and religion. Stillman also offers technology badges in cybersecurity and data analytics. You can participate in all student activities, fraternities and sororities, internships, graduation ceremonies, and much more. Apply for admission today at stillman.edu. Stillman College, where we prepare you for a different world.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
T. Madden & Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden & Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden & Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Q Time is our classic Atlanta soul food restaurant located in the historic West End. Q Time Soul Food is a family business started by Fred and Christine Crenshaw. Come on in, relax, and sink your chops into our tantalizing, mouth-watering, distinctive soul food with a twist, the Q Time way. 1120 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard, or call your order in at 404-758-2881. Do you miss your mama's cooking? Then come on down to Q Time, an Urban Passport member.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
From novice
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yeah.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Man, it's a great day. It is a great day. Very cold day in all parts of the world. So for you all that may not realize that, this is 116th anniversary for those brothers of the black in old gold. Started all this, you know what I'm saying? I know other people may have some arguments with all that talk, but we just talking about from the general knowledge. We ain't gonna get none of that argument today. So BJ Jones, just be nice today. Be nice. Be nice. I won't have to use that mic. Today I get so cold and excited, man. I might just freeze you out, bro. But let me give a shout out to Brother Bishop because he is on the show. Happy Founders Day, Charles. And Mike, he's on assignment with the wife, so we're gonna give him a little pass. He had to do usher duties at church, I believe it is. So yeah, you got it, man. You got it, people. But yes, happy Founders Day, Charles.
Yes, happy Founders Day, Doc. Like you said, and tremendous day when you take a look at this fraternity, what this fraternity started. I'm very appreciative to be a part of it, appreciative to be a part of the brotherhood. I mean, a lot of lifelong friends. In fact, I'm getting ready to meet a few of my line brothers here right after this show. So looking forward to it today.
Make sure you pass the good brothers the word. You know, if I didn't have much more show to do, I'd sit up there and talk about bold ass. 858. Now let me get to it. I know what y'all really came in here to see. But I did want to partake and just say that to all the brothers out there in all seriousness. Love being a part of the fraternity. And for that, the greater Panhellenic group of us all. And so shout out to BJ Jones in terms of being part of that as well. And then just the greater HBCU, MEAC and SWAC. So shout out to Joshua Sims and A.E. Drew, members of this team. They're going to bring you some knowledge today and breakdown. So let's get into it. Let me pull up the statement that was sent from Jackson State University. And then we'll play a little video to get it straight from Coach Prime's mouth. So if you would, AD Drew, you have the statement. Can you read it for us? We're pulling it up, and so some of y'all be able to see it, but y'all see what the letterhead more than anything. AD Drew, if you would read the first paragraph or so.
And this is a statement from Vice President of Athletics, Ashley Robinson. Says
let me set this up before you do that, because since you said that, it's great. So we were in the media room as we were taking off, and you have a chance, some of us in the press box, some people on the floor, on the field, I should say. BJ Jones was on the field. We got to see him as going in, and a lot of the folks that have been covering the HBCU, knows that been added to the floor were there. And obviously you had a lot of folks that have come on board lately, or folks that were hearing maybe some big news would be said. You had a lot of media that was there. And so after the game, kudos again to Charles in regards to earning the cigar. Obviously, I'll make sure you get that as I got you one last night, but it seems like you're going to be trying to ask for a cigar all the way to the Celebration Bowl. So I got to extra pack just in case. And Joshua, we're not going to leave you out. I see you representing. So whoever gets it done, one of y'all get another cigar at that point. So
appreciate it in advance. I appreciate it in advance.
Don't get started early already. But so we went down to the field about 5 minutes to the game. It looked like it was going, go over quickly, and some turnovers back and forth, so it kind of extended out. They had a little problem in terms of the media, camera folks. Everybody wanted a piece of the puzzle. They supposed to stay behind the fence. Folks wasn't listening. It took them a while to do the stage. Coach Prime was frustrated with that. And so he left, checked out, came back, was on stage. During that time, some of the media folks left so we could have our seats, be prepared. It's a small room in the Veterans Memorial Stadium in terms of the press room for this in general. So we squoze in there, got a chance to get the Southern players. McDowell, did his thing. Defensive player that transferred in, I forget the name right now. They did a tremendous job talking about fighting for Southern, representing in terms of how they got down early, fought back. Then you had Coach Dooley came in and said some words. He came in what would be a little late, and I'm not blaming this on him. I want to make that clear, but he likes to clean up, change up, just as much as Prime is about his time. Rick Dooley is similar in terms of being dapper and make sure you clean and do what he needs to do. So they elongated the thing. So we waited in there. And then Charles is the star of the show. Charles walks in there. He's like, what is everybody doing? And so I found out later that Charles knew that he left with the team because he wanted to go and get the talk in. And so he whispers to Andrew Roberts. Roberts was patient. He did kind of have a look on his face. He went and checked, verified, like, nah, he gone. So he came back. So media was fired up, ready. Everybody wanted to be the first one to ask the question. Who was going to be bold enough to ask the question? Never got to ask the chest. Everybody's chest fell off. All heads went down for a lot of folks. I said, y'all really thought y'all would go ask that question, did you? I made them laugh down there. Ran out of there. And so we left. And as Drew said, question is where were you when you heard the news? Drew?
I was actually at a Christmas party for Minority Baseball Prospects, another organization that we here at the Black College Sports Network partner with. Shout out to CEO Alex White and President Reginald Hollins. They were doing a Christmas fundraiser party on yesterday, and just in the middle of the party is when I got the official alert, even though just like Prime coming to Jackson State was one of the worst kept secrets in HBCU sports. Prime leaving Jackson State has also been one of the worst kept secrets in HBCU sports.
Good point. Joshua Simpson, where were you?
Yeah, man, all week, really last 2 weeks, all week, I gotta give kudos to my brother BJ Jones, man. We've be out me. What can I say? How many times we probably had about maybe 10 to 15 conversations about this knowing that this was coming.
Oh, y'all ain't tell me?
Listen, it wasn't my source.
You probably knew
it wasn't my source,
Oh,
but you knew before we
really?
did. You knew before we did.
Like y'all left me out the conversation, man.
Man, you knew before we did.
What is this about?
BJ,
you knew,
so
you knew,
Josh,
you knew before AD Robinson.
So we can get into this, because I do want to play this video before we get in this. Where were you when you, quote unquote, got the official word, if there's such a thing?
Oh man, believe it or not, Doc, it wasn't until I got back to the hotel and I was able to actually check the ESPN notifications. Because after the game, I was doing the media stuff with you guys, trying to get in the room. Then I went back out and tailgated. So that went on my mind. Yeah,
y'all
man,
don't know about the behind the scenes madness that goes on for the media folks. Y'all think we just snapping together? No, go ahead.
Yeah, man. So man, did that, man, and was just doing another show, and then the host said something. I was like, "Whoa, they made it official?" And I was like, "Oh man."
You're right. Yeah. It's gonna go down. It's fun. So, Josh, where were you actually when you, like you said, you heard and you talked about it, but where were you when you officially got the quote unquote official word?
I was actually on HBCU Nightly last night when the official word came down. We did a late night show last night at HBCU
I came on there, but I didn't see you on there.
Man, Twitter was. Oh, what weird stuff yesterday. So
great last night.
Yeah, I never got the notification. I was looking for you.
It was a bunch of people. It was a bunch of people. I was on there when I got the official word, and man, we skipped right past. Man, I took me a nice sip of some high C orange, and we skipped right on past.
Nice, appreciate that. I'm not gonna ask Charles because Charles got the cheat code, like you said, DJ Jones. So and he gonna try to play crazy today. Eddie Drew, go ahead and read the first part of that statement. We'll take a break and we'll come back and play a video on the other side.
Once again, this is a letter from Vice President / Athletic Director Ashley Robinson. Tiger Nation, since arriving in Jackson, Deion, Coach Prime Sanders energized and elevated Jackson State football at Jackson State University to unprecedented heights. In rebuilding our program to be smart, tough, fast, and disciplined with character, Coach Prime returned Jackson State football to championship prominence. That's the first paragraph. You want to go to the second paragraph, Doc?
No, that's fine. Everybody can get it from there. I just kind of wanted folks to get a little brief part of that. We're going to take our first break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll play the video that Deion Sanders Jr. has on his website. So you can go see it for yourself. We won't play the whole video, just the intro part of it. It's called Well Off Media. And so when you get a chance, you can go and listen to the whole thing. It's about 14 minutes, so right under 15 minutes. We'll play maybe half of it right after this break. This is Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We'll play this, and then we'll move on and start getting back into football matchups and things of that nature. But I did want to give this a do because I know a lot of people had different frameworks of it, and some of y'all, just like was said around here, some of y'all will just hear it about this morning because you have other things that you're dealing with. So stick with us. We'll be right back after this first break.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
The human voice.
Test the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
I'm real kind with your black snap with your earring in you. I'm real kind right now. I'm real kind right now. Y'all good, y'all good. This is said y'all won. You won, you good. We kick back, we won. Okay, down for the nitty gritty. I know y'all been hearing the rumors and everything that's been transpiring around about my whereabouts and what I'm gonna do. And I like for y'all to hear it from me and not from anyone else. It is what it is. Either in coaching, you get elevated or you get terminated. Ain't no other way. You either elevate it or terminate it. And it ain't no graveyard for coaches where they die at the place. It don't work like that. They either gonna run you off or you gonna walk off upon your own recognizance. I've chosen to accept the job elsewhere next year. I'm gonna finish what we started. We're gonna dominate. I'm gonna be here to that end and that conclusion. And then when that conclusion.
In 2020, we defeated Donald Trump.
We sent him packing. And elected Georgia's first black senator.
We will move on. Now, what I don't want you to do is thinking something is better on the other side in regards to some of you. I would like to have the opportunity to meet with some of you so you don't go and jump in the portal and you die in the portal. I don't want that to happen because some of y'all thinking it's simplistic like that, and it's not. That portal will be loaded on, is it Monday, fella? Yeah. Monday. Portals opens, be loaded, and they're gonna call and they're gonna ask, because that's what we've done for some of y'all when we were trying to acquire y'all. We called and we asked your coaches, and when we knew what kind of character, what is it, and I don't want you thinking since you have the Jackson State awards on you that people are just gonna flock to you and they're gonna lace you like that. This is one of the best universities, I believe, certainly in FCS, that you could have an opportunity to play at because of all the bells and whistles and these particular things that we've brought here. And I'm trying my best with this wonderful gentleman to help choose this next guy for you. My recommendation goes to TC. They know how I feel about TC. I want TC, and several of the staff members are going to be retained here, but that's mine. I would love for someone in-house because I don't really know how y'all would act with somebody outside the house coming in to really not understanding how we function and how we get down. So that's my recommendation. So just clap it up for TC. Hope that's how it goes down. But that's not his sole decision. So don't put it on him. He has a hierarchy that he must go through for that to happen, right? AD, I would not be here to one for this man. With all, you have no idea the trials and tribulations that we stood back to back and worked out for some of the things that you don't even know about, some of the things that y'all have no idea about. And I'm not tired of fighting whatsoever, but if I heard God's voice on coming, don't second guess of my hearing ability. I know God, and I know when he shifts, and I know when he moves, and I know how he gets down with me. I always questioned things when I was a player. How can you be so dominant and have to play for 5 football teams? That don't make sense to me. I ask God that often, but then I had to understand when he's taking you from faith to faith, from glory to glory, and allowing you to provoke change in different places. That's why he would allow me to play for 5 darn football teams and 4 baseball teams, because it doesn't supposed to happen like that. But I understand the calling that he has on my life. And I feel like I got to do something about it. It's been 4 or more African-American head coaches at the next level that has been terminated. I haven't heard not one other than a candidate like myself to replace them. So to me, that's a problem that many don't think about, but that's a problem. If someone don't step up and step out and hold it down for us, there's a problem. And many of the detractors, I guess they don't understand college football consists of 70% African-American. I don't care where you at. It just happens to be more at a HBCU. But it's not like I'm not gonna speak into the lives of young African-American men and women alike, because my challenge is still to provoke change no matter where I am. And I'm gonna be me. I'm 55 and I don't plan on changing no time soon. God made me like this, and I think God is pleased with what he's created. This is probably the toughest moment for me ever because it involves y'all. If it didn't involve y'all,
This powerful $99 drone is now available in the US. This is an extremely high-tech
I'm out. But when I talked about his story and understand some of y'all's stories that I've come to know, and just seeing the progression and seeing what 11 did out there today, and just seeing what some of you guys have climbed to is undarn believable. And that's the thing that got me. That's the thing that's holding me hostage is y'all faces. And not only y'all, but the equipment team. I'm gonna let you make it today, baby girl. I'm gonna let you make it. The equipment team, the training staff, the media staff, the photography staff, the GAs, let's see, you, Jan, everybody included. The documentary team as well. This ain't easy. And it's not about a bag. I've been making money a long time and I ain't nowhere near broke. So it's not about a bag, but it is about an opportunity. So I always felt like if you dominate your opportunity and you treat people right, the bag is gonna always come. I never chased the bag. A bag has always chased me because I've always tried to make the right decisions and do the right thing regarding people, regarding decisions, regarding life. It hadn't been too many times where I was meant to stay right and I took a left. Maybe a couple of marriages, I take that back. Right. I'm sorry. But any questions you have?
Roy girlfriend. This Dr. Bill Inside man, the back channels and back stories you hear on the show is all off the chain, man. Boy, if you could hear what we talk about off the camera.
We should do an outtake section.
Exactly. Dr. Bill's Inside. Let's get into it. Let me go with you first, Joshua Sims, being on the outside in terms of MEAC, mainly in terms of where you cut your cloth, for lack of a better word. What were your thoughts when you heard the video?
Yeah, Doc, I mean, you know, the fortunality and also the unfortunality is that I am on the outside. You know, I live in MEAC country. I'm a MEAC guy. So this didn't really have as much of an effect on me as I'm sure others from inside of the SWAC footprint would. Outside of the fact that I grew up a Deion Sanders fan as a player, as a coach, he was always kind of on the other side of the tracks. You know, so for me, it doesn't have very much of an effect. My heart and mind does go out to those student athletes. He said some very important things in that part. I won't get long-winded about that, about some of these student athletes not jumping in that portal and dying in that portal. You know, so you know, but that's a message that I send to a lot of kids, a lot of student athletes that I talk to on a day-to-day basis, week by week basis about, you know, staying out of that portal unless you necessarily have to. And, you know, being willing to face that adversity that's going to be in that program. You know, you committed to Jackson State. You didn't commit to Coach Prime. You committed to the I Love. So, you know, so somewhat of a commitment there, fight for what you believe is going to be right. And if the opportunity isn't right, just know that there may possibly be a home for you other places, but not necessarily, you know, so be careful, be strategic, you know, have a conversation with your parents. But as far as Prime goes, man, I think he handled it the way he felt like was best. And so kudos to him and much success to him in Colorado.
I appreciate you being good because we're gonna let you get into your matchup. You know, we just say we just warming up everybody.
I'm just holding back. I got my notes right here and everything, Doc.
We're gonna let you and Charles tee off because we let Charles and Bishop go at it last week and that was good. But let me go to you, AD Drew. What were your thoughts in terms of what you heard?
Well, you he said a lot of appropriate things in there. Like Josh just said, stay y'all butts out that portal. Stay y'all butts out that portal. But and I'll give my long form version of this or my monologue tonight on the BCSN Sports Wrap with Brian and AD tonight at 6:00 Eastern, 5:00 Central. I'll really give in-depth opinion of it. But I just want to say this, Charles, and all the people at Jackson State, I hope y'all enjoyed this. No, seriously, I hope y'all really enjoyed this ride, because if you did not enjoy this ride, that's your fault. That is your fault. You did not enjoy this. It's kind of like you go to a restaurant, you got different cuts of meat. You got sirloin, you got New York strip, you got rib eye, you got filet, you got that porterhouse. And when you get that good porterhouse or filet steak, and you eat it and you savor it, you've been so used to eating sirloin. Then you get that porterhouse or that filet and you savor it. Oh my God, that just those flavor, those taste buds, they just get to go so good. But one thing you got to remember about a steak, sooner or later it's coming out the other end. And this is it. It just came out the other end for Jackson State. I hope you enjoy the flavor while you had it.
This is a FAMU strike right here. Oh my God.
He was going so well.
Yeah, this is a 59. This is a 59-3 strike. This is I give that one to you. I will take that was a 59-3 strike. I will take that one. I don't have this was pent up frustration from 2 years.
This is pent up frustration. Yes, it is. That was therapeutic for
This was showing up at the Orange Blossom Classic and having a politic for the playoff right after the game. That's what that was. So I get it.
BJ Jones, let me go to you, BJ Jones. We gotta help. We gotta clean this up, man. We got
Lord have mercy.
BJ Jones, what did you think when you saw the video?
Man, yesterday, I told Josh, man, I heard the stuff on Friday, but Friday, I'm gonna be honest with you, Doc, I was sick to my stomach by what occurred on Jackson State's campus. I couldn't really focus on anything coaching changes or whatnot, because there's a parent out there that has to bury their child this close to the holidays, and I couldn't get away from that. And then yesterday, the thing that I thought in my mind after the game is I witnessed probably the greatest team in SWAC history. We always hear about the 87, 88 Jackson State football teams. But I was right here with my daughter, and we saw the 2022 Jackson State football team. And I immediately started talking about in SWAC history, in Jackson State history, where did this team rank? Me and Charles have been talking about this for a couple of weeks. And it's almost sacrilegious to put any team up there, 87, 88. And then it immediately went to, damn, so, I guess it's true, man. Man, he's gone. I didn't think that we hear any news until, probably today or maybe tomorrow. But, for the last 2 years, I tell anybody that knows me, I idolized Deion Sanders as an athlete coming up. War number 2, I had the headband around my neck, the wristbands, the gloves, the things that drove my coaches crazy. So to get an opportunity for these last 2 years to have conversations with him, for me, has been surreal. And for him, to even recognize who I am, to me, is still surreal. And my daughter got a chance to meet him yesterday. She has no earthly idea who he is, by the way. But she got a chance to meet him yesterday. And I think, just for me, what he's done for the conference and what he's done for Jackson State, I don't think that can be denied. And I'm gonna tell you this: I tell people all the time, I don't follow Confederate football really closely. All right. When I say Confederate football, I'm talking about, FBS Power 5 football. I don't follow it closely. But hey, I'm rooting for the Buffaloes moving forward. Hey, I might go out there and pet Ralphie. I really want him to do well. And I think as he does well, when he talked about the amount of black coaches at that Power 5 level, he represents all of us at that level. So, hey, hey, go Buffs.
Well said.
I believe there's only 3. I believe
Yep.
3, maybe 4.
It was 4, and
Prime.
some of them,
Well,
just left. So
we had 2 that were released. Actually, 3 that were released during the season, or right immediately after the season. So I know you got your guy out at Notre Dame. That's the one that sticks to my mind. And I know there's a couple of other ones. But I think
Mel Tucker at Michigan State.
Yeah.
With that said, before we go to the break, Charles, let me let you get the final statement on this. Somebody that really has had a front line to this, quite like none other, really, to see the transformation in a different facet. And in more ways, not only with Coach Prime, which is one thing, but to me, more importantly, which a lot of these guys are kind of talking about in a subtext, is about dealing with the young men that play for Jackson State University or involved with Jackson State University. When you watch that, and I won't tell where you saw that information because, again, Charles is in the room often. But what were your thoughts when you were hearing it, put it that way?
First and foremost, let me say, I have no doubt that he'll be successful in Colorado because that's who he is. That's the reality of who he is. I think I've said on multiple occasions, I don't know of another individual who has crossed platforms like this, from being an athlete to being a top-notch broadcaster to being a top-notch coach, other than somebody like John Madden, the multi-platform individual who's crossed multiple platforms and been successful in each one of them. I don't even know where to start. I think one of the things that Dr. Cavil, I remember you saying when he first got there, and it became very apparent to me, of him being a change agent. And that is very much who he is. And to know that this HBCU space is forever changed. The landscape is forever changed because of his presence here. And that's an awesome something to really try to wrap your mind around, and to watch what he has poured into Jackson State. I remember what his program was before he got there. I don't have a short memory in that regard. And I remember Ashley and I, when he was an AD at Prairie View, having a conversation on the sideline where he said, this doesn't even look like Jackson State. And he was right, And I remember that time. I remember what Jackson State football looked like before he got there. So I can't be more thankful for what he has reinstituted within this DNA that I call Jackson State football, that something I've grown up watching, and to see it at its lowest point and to see where he has brought it back to where not just fans of Jackson State University, fans of Jackson State football, but this city of Jackson can really wrap themselves around this program. I've often said for the African-American community, Jackson State football is the pro team. And I mean it. They love Jackson State football. There's the reason why they lead FCS in attendance year in, year out, even when it's down. They love Jackson State football. So for them, for a new generation of fans to relive what Jackson State football once was, I can't put value to that. It means the world. So I'm super appreciative for everything that he has brought to Jackson State, everything he brought to the city of Jackson, and everything he has brought to this HBCU space.
Thank you, Charles. Great way to close. We'll come back on the other side as we get into the halfway point. We'll do our marching sport halftime show, and we'll come back on the other side, and we'll get into the actual football talk. We'll talk a little bit about this matchup in terms of Celebration Bowl. Before that, we'll talk a little bit about the game that took place, the SWAC championship game known as 2022, between two rivals, Southern and Jackson State. This is the third matchup in the SWAC championship game. We've heard about the first two where Southern got it done. This time, Jackson State comes out on the other side. And stick with us because we'll talk a little bit about the ups and downs of that game. And we'll be right back after this second break.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Enter to analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention.
This is Dr. Lil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Now we're going to get back to what we really do well. We're going to get back to some of the football talk and get into it. Stick with us because we're going to get into the Celebration Bowl. And obviously, it should be fun because we have one Joshua Sims Sr., who is, if you don't know by now, he is an Eagle, North Carolina Central University Eagle out of the MEAC. And then obviously we got Charles that happens to be part of the I Love Jackson State University Tiger. And you just heard his monologue in regards to how he feels about them. So we'll save that a little bit because you are going to get folks that have inside information about these two programs to really help set it up. And then obviously we have BJ Jones, that is the football guru coming out of SWAC. He gave you some updates just in terms of his framework, giving you a little history in terms of what he sees, getting some dialogue out there as we get started, because now you have some debate. Where does Jackson State 2022 team fit in the pantheon of SWAC football? So a great way to set that up in terms of that. And then obviously with A.D. Drew, as he does it only the way he does it in terms of giving you information with that. So let's get into the matchup. One of the first things that stood out to me is the challenges that Southern had with the turnovers and that potent defense that came out there. And you see the graphic there where obviously it's like as I told you, it's a playoff format. You have the SWAC championship game. Jackson State comes out of there winning 43-24. So they represent the SWAC, and they will face that North Carolina Central Eagles team out of the MEAC in the Celebration Bowl, and that is Saturday, 12 noon in Eastern Time kickoff in regards to the Mercedes-Benz there December the 17th. Should be fascinating, should be fun. Think about this now. Number one ranked team, 12-0. Then you got what I have as the number two ranked team. That is 9-2. I don't think you could have had two better teams to play for the Celebration Bowl championship. Before we get to that, let's get into, again, to clean up some stuff in terms of what happened in that 43-24. The first thing that stood out to me is the turnovers. You just cannot have turnovers in a championship game, particularly when you're playing a number one undefeated team. It's going to put you in trouble. I want to save you a little thought for last, BJ Jones, because I know how much you broke into these numbers and broke them down in a lot of ways. So I'm going to go to you first, A.D. Drew, in terms of what you saw in this matchup, SWAC championship game yesterday.
I saw a starting quarterback who looked like a deer in headlights. No better way of putting it than that. The starting quarterback looked like a deer in headlights.
Kind of took me back last year to Prairie View quarterback. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm still wounded.
I saw a backup quarterback, and I shout out B.J. Jones. He's been saying this all year. That the best quarterback on that roster has been the number 3 quarterback on that roster for a majority of the year. But once Bubba McDaniel came into the game, let's just put it in its pure numbers. We love data here. Southern outscored Jackson State 24-17 after the quarterback change. So if you think about what could have been, I'm not saying Southern would have won the game with Bubba McDaniel as their starting quarterback, because obviously Jackson State would have had a little bit better of a game plan and playing defensively, specifically to scheme against Bubba McDaniel. But the fact is, he was a change of pace that they need. Southern just looked better with Bubba McDaniel playing quarterback. The offense looked better, which gave the defense more confidence. And then you add in the block punt, and if you're the underdog team, you need a turnover, or you need some type of offensive mistake where they just give you a short field. You got that, got yourself back into the game, and then the next thing you know, it was a dogfight. I hope y'all realize it was a 1-score game in the third quarter. It was a 1-score game until Jackson State reestablished its dominance. But it wasn't like Jackson State ran away. And at that point, Jackson State was fine trading points with Southern. So that's just some of the gist of what I saw from where I was at watching it in my hotel in Atlanta.
I want to go to you, Joshua Sims. Again, this is fascinating to me, why I really like the fact that you come on and show not just your football knowledge, but you get to come in and bring a perspective. As a team that already has this ticket, if you would, to the Celebration Bowl, you're like, we're going to play one of these teams. So how did you look at this matchup from that perspective? Obviously, you're enjoying good football being played at a championship setting, and you've got to get a little more involved with the SWAC as you've had the dialogues with B.J. Jones, so even appreciation is higher than it's ever been. But how did you look at this?
Yeah, I mean, on the front end, I still somewhat approach this game as a coach. From a pre-game perspective, from a analysis standpoint, or scouting perspective, I was looking at the big question for me was who was going to go out there as the starting quarterback for Southern in this game. I had talked to BJ enough to know that the guy who they thought they were going to roll out, who it sounded like they were going to roll out, was different than who they actually ended up rolling out. So I'm going to say this on the front end. Coaches sometimes have the ability to be stubborn and be stubborn to a fault. This is on Coach Dooley. What happened in that first quarter is 100% on Coach Dooley. Not because he was obviously he wasn't the guy out there behind center taking the snaps. But at a certain point, you have to make a decision that you're either going to go with the guy that, just doesn't make any sense, but it feels most comfortable for you, or you're going to go with the guy that gives you the best chance to win, but might not feel as comfortable for you. And it was very obvious from the first drive of the game that offensive staff and Coach Dooley had made the wrong decision and had opportunities to correct that decision in the first 3 drives, and waited until the last drive of the first quarter when you're down 26-0 to make a decision that ended up paying you dividends, but not enough dividends. So on the pre-side, from the scouting perspective, on the outside looking in, the number one question for me was who is going to come out there and be the starting quarterback. I was very, very high on that Southern defense. I thought Southern defense, given them being 2 possessions in a row in terrible situations due to turnovers, I thought Southern's defense played really well. You got multiple drives in this game where Jackson State's offense is driving down the field. You hold them to field goals. You hold them to a field. I mean, what more can you expect from an offense as potent as Jackson State's is? At certain points, I saw them take away the underneath, forced Jackson State to have to throw the ball down the field. I saw those DBs make plays. I saw Southern's defense be mistake-free in certain situations. I just saw situational football, and it broke down to what I like to see, a drive-by-drive situation. And then Bubba McDaniels, ladies and gentlemen. The most disappointing part is that this young brother is a senior, man. What we saw from that young brother last night and yesterday left me wanting more. I wanted to see more. I wanted to see him next year be able to come out and be the starting quarterback. I wanted to see what Southern would look like next season with this kid at quarterback, man. I didn't know about this kid. Even though BJ had been telling me about it all season, I had no idea. For those who did not know, this young gentleman, absolutely, as he became the starter, when he came in the game and took over, AD Drew is right. He led to outscore Jackson State 24-17 yesterday. He had a phenomenal day on the ground yesterday, had a phenomenal day through the air. And I was very critical of Bashawn McCray last week because he had more rushing yards than he had passing yards. Not the case for this young brother, Bubba McDaniel. He looked poised. He looked ready for the moment. He played a phenomenal game. And unfortunately, he came into the game at a 26-0 deficit. And there was nothing that he could be able to do to try to get that game back for Southern. I was a little bit disappointed, but I can promise you this. My notepad is filled, Charles Bishop. I saw a tremendous amount of opportunity, Charles Bishop. And I will be at 1801 Fayetteville Street thrice times a week for the next 2 weeks, Charles Bishop. You will see, Charles Bishop, that you had a problem with Bubba McDaniel. Now you got to face the best dual threat quarterback in the country, bar none, Charles Bishop. I can't wait till we get to the Celebration Bowl conversation because I'm going to get on your tail.
Let me help you. Let me help you before you get on my tail. Mr. Richard will be game planned. I don't know who the second string quarterback is in North Carolina Central. I don't know who the third string quarterback is.
Before you go there, we're going to give you a whole segment. I'm going to talk about this. Yeah, I
don't want us to rewrite the narrative here.
All right, I see. I'm going to give you a chance.
Damn 24-17. I'm like, damn, the score was still 1. All right, go ahead.
That's why I want you to go back, and I want you to give your perspective of what you saw yesterday in that game in terms of Jackson State against Southern before we move to the next matchup. I want you to go in there and as you played through that game, what did you see taking place?
I saw the first thing that kind of jumped out at me is everybody was petrified with all the distractions, how this team would look. And they answered that bell immediately. In all seriousness, and I want to ask this question in regards to Coach Dooley, because I think he's going to take some slings and arrows with regards to who started the game.
And he should.
But my question is let's not take away from Coach Dooley or the staff, because don't you think they would see in practice who should have been started? I mean, I always ask that question. So, I mean, granted, and BJ, you've been saying that this hasn't been the best quarterback, starting for Southern, but at the same time, I always will revert back to, well, I'm sure this coaching staff, I know who's on this coaching staff, I know they would see that during the course of the season. I know that they would see that, who is popping out on film. So, as to who was starting, I was like, I think they got the best person out there, for what they're trying to do. That being said, I think every time that every team has hit Jackson State proverbially in the mouth, without fail, Jackson State has responded.
Yeah.
Without fail. So I always come back to that. There's been a possession. There's been, the score was only at this point in the game, it was only one possession game. That's true. That's true. And without fail, this team has responded to whatever adversity has been put in front of them. So true.
Yeah. That touchdown by McDaniels at 4:27 made it a 12-point game.
12-point game.
A chance where they would have went for 2, and I question that because they could have made it an 11-point game, and even if it fails, you're at a 13-point game. What's the difference? So I didn't quite understand that decision there.
And this is where you're at the mercy. This is where you're at the mercy of Southern. And this is the beauty of it. The band was into it. The fans were into it. And I've said that could be such a defining momentum thing with regards to every time you play Southern. And I appreciate the jukebox. I talk about it all the time with Marshall. This is where, you know, they become that 12th man and they get the fans involved and they had the momentum. And you know, you look back and you can see the angst was sitting over there on the Jackson State side with regards to the fan base, but the team never responds to that part. It's like, just go out and go make some damn plays for the most part.
And that's one of the things that you talked about. Hold on, Drew, because I want to go to BJ and we're up on the time. We'll give you a chance because we got another segment to spin out of it. But Charles, I did want to acknowledge the fact that you said this before, and you've been very upfront and truthful, that the ghost of Southern is something that has always kind of stuck with you because you've lived those experiences. Yeah. Which is, I'm sure, what you was talking about with those fans. But one thing that you also acknowledge is the best thing about this particular version of the Jackson State football team is they haven't experienced that. So they didn't have the ghost. They heard what everybody else saying, but they were like, we just going to play football. With that being said, I really wanted to end with BJ Jones, you know, to give that insight again. We've gotten all these different frameworks of the game. And now we got a chance to go to BJ Jones that has obviously watched this Southern team a different framework, practices, game to game, coming in, knowing the coaches and different perspectives. What went through your head as you're watching this game and you're on floor level, literally on the grass and getting the chance to see action in a way also as a coach that others haven't. So what did you see in this match?
I'll say this, Chuck. What you saw yesterday is what you saw in practice. What you saw yesterday was what you saw in the scrimmages. There's no difference. The best two quarterbacks on this roster are 15 and 12. 9 can roll there with them. 11 ain't nowhere in the picture. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's nowhere in the picture. That's repeated from that's Jaguar Nation, seeing scrimmages, practices, you name it. And the word that we always got was maybe 11 is just a gamer. And because we've had that before. But to move forward, down 26-0, I started to think how ugly this thing might get. Yeah. Because, you know, Jackson State, man, my heart went out to those kids. Everything that had gone on in the last 24 hours. I was like, man, if we're going to be able to tell how good of a coach Deion Sanders is and that staff, how well they get them prepared, you know, to play. Because we live in the internet era. You know, this can happen back in the day, and we just can be completely blindsided by it. But they came out, man, they balled. And when Bubba got the call, that look, when he looked back and he looked at the bench, and he gave that Bubba like, yeah, here we go. I looked back at Kedrick Gibson. I said, here we go. And when he came in, the way that he took command of the sideline, hey, that's my bad. Hey, offensive line, need you give me this. Need you give me that. You saw stuff from him that you don't see in a starter. You saw the confidence in the receivers. Remember when he first got out there, receivers dropping pass. They were used to the ball getting up on him like that. He came just out. He had not only control of the huddle, control of the sideline. You even heard the fans behind him start chanting, Bubba, 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 Bubba. And I feel like this, Chuck, we make that change at 10-0. We having a completely different conversation today. We make that change at 10-0. We are having a completely different conversation. But, man, shout out to Bubba McDaniel. Those guys, they didn't quit. They didn't give up. But more importantly, man, shout out to Jackson State. And Chuck said this all year, and I said all year. When Jackson State needs to get to 4, they get to 4. When they need to get to 5, they get to 5. Every game was Alabama A&M, Alcorn State, Campbell. They do what they need to do to get the job done. And people have their question marks about Coach Sanders and what he's able to do. But look at that football team on yesterday with everything going on, how they were locked in and got the job done. So I can't do nothing but give kudos to that Jackson State football team. This championship was well-deserved.
And I would give kudos back because there's a point, 26-0, I wanted blood. I'm a Jackson State fan. And for Southern to fight back in the manner that they did, it showed me a lot about, championship pedigree and how programs are, because they did. They fought their way back into the game when it could have gotten away real easy. So, and kudos to Bubba McDaniel in that regards for, righting the ship, if you will.
Let's take this last break. We'll be back on the other side. It's time to move forward. It's time to get into the celebration, but we got 2 weeks. So you'll get information ad nauseum. You come right here and you're going to get inside information, playbooks, analysis that you can't get nowhere else. You're going to get Joshua Sims literally bringing out his playbooks. Yeah, he going to be ready.
I see you, Charles.
Stephen will be right back after this break.
Too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon'.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As you see why we call them professors, the professors are back in the building. We have clinical Professor Drew. We got visiting Professor Sims Sr. We have visiting Professor Jones, and obviously we have the Professor Bishop in here. Let's get back into it. Celebration Bowl, 12 o'clock. I told you we got one team coming in, number 1 ranked in just about everybody's poll, top 5 in the country in terms of FCS, 12-0, 8-0 in terms of the conference play, getting it done. And then on the other side of the ledger, we have number 2 ranked, top 25 ranked team all in the country at what, number 23 last ranking? Is that correct? 21. Thank you. Want to make sure I get that correct in terms of ranking. So you have top 25 teams, 2 top teams. I think almost anybody in Army will tell you these are the 2 best teams in HBCU football in terms of 2022. So in terms of a matchup, if you can't get excited about this, I don't know what kind of HBCU fan you are in terms of what's going on. So I'm going to go to you, AD Drew, and I'm going to get this out of the room first. The key matchup that both people are seeing is Campbell. Obviously, Central had to go on the road. Jackson State had them at home. Why should folks not just focus on that matchup?
Why? Because
I think that, I think a lot of folks, that's the easiest thing. So folks, I'm coming to y'all as experts in terms of the field of how you need to take multiple data points, barring a term from Mike Washington since he's not here. But a lot of folks will want to take that one data point and say, all right, this is why it's going to go there. Why should they dig deeper and listen to us in terms of finding more information of how to analyze this game?
Well, number one, Central is not Campbell. Jackson State is not Campbell. While they do have that common opponent, Campbell does not play like either one of the 2 teams that will face each other in the Celebration Bowl with their style on both sides of the ball. So there are going to only be limited tendencies that you're going to be able to pick up off of watching the film of the opposite opponent that you're going to be able to translate back into what you do because of that. The other thing is outside the Campbell matchup, we got to look at the two coaches. And this is something I was going to bring out about yesterday, a couple of decisions that Coach Prime made on yesterday. I thought it was a very interesting decision for him going for 2 early in the first quarter after the turnover. Not once, but twice. Trying to deliver the knockout blow mentally to Southern. And that is right, and that's what I was gonna say. That is something that Prime does. Prime will take his shots and gamble on his team because he has the confidence in his team. If it does not go his way, that his boys will still be able to play through it. Whereas Trey Oliver tends to be a little bit more conservative, as they say, by the book, and do what the book says. Okay, yes, this is that time in the fourth quarter. You up by this. Now I go for 2 or something along those lines. You may see Trey Oliver do it, but Trey Oliver is going to be pretty much cut and dry. So that is the one thing that I want people to look at these coaches and their tendencies and see in a championship setting if either one of them does something contrary to what has been their success and what has got them to that point all year. Because we've seen coaches do that all the time in big games. They make that one call trying to surprise the other team. They've never made it all year. It's that play they put in the second week of August, and they want to run it here.
BJ Jones, in terms of this matchup, what do you look at? What are some of the key factors that you say, hey, these are things that are going to be difference in terms of who's going to ultimately win this game?
One of the things I'm going to look at is Jackson State's offensive line, the ability to run the football against North Carolina Central's defensive line. They run a 3-man front, but it's not a large 3-man front in the way that traditionally you see 3-man fronts. So that defensive line, they're going to have to rise to the occasion and stop the run, make Jackson State one-dimensional. And also the pressure that you're able to get on Shedeur Sanders. You saw Southern able to get pressure. Getting pressure and getting them on the ground is 2 different things. So getting pressure, getting home, but getting home and getting them on the ground. And also Davius Richard, this young man is special. He's going to have to be special. He's going to have a Davius Richard type of day. And seeing what Bubba did yesterday was like, Davius Richard. And also, man, his receiver's going to have to help him out. You're going to have to catch some contested passes. You're going to have to go up and get some. And then that running game, man, that running game. Josh talks about the backs that they have in the backfield. They got them. Being able to establish the run, and they have some bigger backs. So it's not going to be a lot of arm tackling that you're going to be able to do. And then Davis Richard, he's a big kid. Ain't going to be no arm tackling on him. So looking at those things and also that special teams battle. I saw some chinks in the armor as far as Jackson State from a special teams standpoint, particularly as far as punt coverage and punt protection. So we'll see how that is. One staff knows where they're going to be next year. One staff probably right now is trying to figure it out. They got 1 foot in Boulder and 1 foot in Jackson. Advantage North Carolina Central.
Hey, how much you cost down at the local store? All right, I'll put one on hold. I'll let you know in 2 weeks whether I need
it. Charles, let me go to you. I want you to talk about the offensive part of Jackson State going against Central's defense. What are you looking for some key matchups that you want to see on that side of the ball?
Shedeur getting the ball out of his hands and the receivers making plays. The very thing that we saw yesterday with regards to taking on Southern's defense. That is, I think, part and parcel of what we look for with regards to this Jackson State offense. I mean, the question becomes, Jackson State averages 38 points a game. Can they get to their average? They have, without fail, all season exceeded or gotten to it. So the question for me is, I know people continuously harp on the distractions and this, that, and that, but they operate in this space. They've literally had 3 documentary crews around them for 3 seasons now. I mean, distraction is just what they do. I've often been amazed at the way they compartmentalize whatever the distraction might be to focus on the task at hand. And trust you me, the focus is on finishing. That was the theme with regards to the SWAC championship game, and that theme continues through to 13 and up to the Celebration Bowl. The focus is on the finish. I think the best thing that could have happened to Jackson State's defense yesterday was Bubba McDaniel. Because I don't think they had faced a quarterback that could hit balls downfield, or really that was a good enough passer to, make them respect, having to play both things, so the run and the pass. They're normally so awesome at shutting down the run that they can pin their ears back and just come after you. He was able to hit some things downfield, but at the same time, like I just mentioned, Josh, I don't know how much preparation there was with regards to the third string quarterback. So I've said this all year, and Dennis Thurman I trust. I'm going to continue to trust him through this game.
Josh, and I'm going to ask you a little bit about, from that perspective, Dennis Thurman, in regards to defense going up against your offense. But before I do that, I'd be remiss. Obviously, Travis Hunter did not suit up pretty much after halftime. I know it's early. Do you have any updated report on that?
Not as of yet. Actually, there were a couple other players that didn't come back after halftime. So to see if we'll be a full string, which I expect for us to be a full string, because both of those players said they were all right. They just, the league was enough that they could, for the most part, place some other people in the second half. So, but I expect all hands on deck in the celebration.
You're hearing it. Looks like you probably have all hands on deck on both sides. You talked with Joshua earlier, saying they're getting some guys back. You have 2 weeks, so in a lot of ways, you're probably going to get just about all the guys, if not all of them, back for Jackson State, and that's the way you want to see a championship matchup. With that being said, Joshua, I kind of line this up. I want you to talk about your offensive unit, some of the unique things. Obviously, you can't give away game plan, just like Charles doesn't. But you know enough of it where you can talk about what you believe needs to be done against a very potent Jackson State. We talk about averages. Usually they average about 10. So you did see a little anomaly in terms of what B.J. Jones and even A.D. Drew talked about from Bubba Daniels in regards to what he was able to do, which was different. And then you have the fact, it was the third string, so you didn't necessarily align yourself. So there's going to be a lot more focus on Darius Richards, deservedly so, in terms of one of the best quarterbacks. And as you said, the best dual threat quarterback at the FCS level. Talk about what needs to get done from an Eagles perspective against a potent, strong Jackson State defense.
Yeah, man. Chuck made a really, really big point when talking about how that team responds in moments. And I've heard a lot of the SWAC family and following talk about Jackson State responding in that moment. And a couple things I want people to know is that this team in particular this offense, when a offense from the other side has a 3 and out, and North Carolina Central's offense gets the chance to get back on the field from our defense causing a 3 and out, North Carolina Central has converted those offensive possessions into touchdowns on 60% of our offense, our drives this year. So if you punt the ball and you get the ball back to our offense, it is incredibly likely that our offense then takes that possession that our defense is giving back to us and puts it into the end zone. Another data point. Charles talked about Jackson State's offense averaging 38 points a game. Well, North Carolina Central averaged 38 points a game on offense as well. So we're even there. And this is one of the things that's beautiful about, just the HBCU landscape, because the MEAC does not get as much attention as the SWAC. We know this. It's just a fact, especially given the time we've been in here with the prime era and things of that sort. So a lot of what's going to happen in these next few weeks from fans of the SWAC and fans of Jackson State is they're going to do exactly what we talked about at the beginning. They're going to look at Campbell. They're going to look at that game against Campbell, and they're going to say, well, there's your unique and similar opponent, and we saw what Campbell did to you guys, so that's what Jackson State's going to do to you guys. And here's what I cannot overstate this enough. Watch the Campbell game 1,000 times. Bet on the Campbell game as much as you can. Signify and identify yourself. Love that game. I'm talking about make yourself so identified. If you're a Jackson State fan, I want you to watch that game a million times. I don't want you to watch no other games. I don't want you to think about nothing else. I don't even want you to know who Davius Richard is. I'm talking about if you're a fan, because I know the analysts and the coaches and the guys who are around the program are different.
Yeah, actually, they refer to the A&T game. They look at the good ones.
Look at that game too. Yeah, look at that game too. Look at that game. Look at that game. If the games that I don't want you to watch, I wouldn't even. The games I want you to watch, I won't even tell you I want you to watch them games because this offense. Listen to me clearly, Jackson State fans. And Charles, I'm talking to you particularly. This offense is nothing you have ever seen before. What we have on this offensive side of the ball, you can't duplicate. God can't remake 6'3", 220 with the ability to run over a linebacker, with the ability to stiff arm Aubrey Miller in the middle of his face. He ain't seen that all season long. But I can guarantee you this. At 12 o'clock noon, December 17th, you're going to wish that you had seen somebody like Davius Richard at some point in this season. You can't duplicate it. That's all I got to say. Keep watching all the Campbell film you want. For those of you who are watching this show that don't know a lick about football, I want you to come down to Atlanta, be jubilant, get your drink on, get your cigar smoke on, have fun and party. Because when we check this time, in 2 weeks on December 18th, you would have known that you've seen the best dual threat quarterback in the country, not FCS, Doc, in the country, bar none. Ladies and gentlemen, 1801 Fable Street is going to be in the building. I ain't got nothing else to say, Doc.
Oh, we ain't gonna end on that. No, we ain't gonna end on that.
I'm gonna come to you. I'm gonna come to you, Charles, because it is ice cold Founders Day. So you know I'm gonna let you get the last word. I'm gonna be in Michael Josh. I can't do that. You know, it's too cold out there. But I did want to put this in there. We'll have a chance to bring in some folks from the outside to give you some perspective, some special voices. We also have scheduled to bring in John Grant to give you some updates. And one of the updates we got right now, which is a beautiful thing, the game is essentially sold out.
Yes,
as we went into the SWAC championship game, you had them releasing 200 standing room only seats. Everything's been sold out. Yeah, so this is one of those games that everybody will be in the building with anticipation, deservedly so, for this matchup. But I also want y'all to know, if you want some really great insight with the little fan and bluster going back and forth, so you can have some fun of that well, but really talking about going behind, make sure you stick with us over the next couple of weeks, because we're going to take you and be able to go in and outside of the numbers, data of this matchup from different perspectives. Make sure you check out Brian and A.D. Drew. They're going to do it. Joshua Sims, obviously. BJ Jones on Top 5 Tuesday. Twitter Spaces, they're going to be showing out. Joshua on Wednesday with HBCU Nightly, they're going to be showing out. Pre-game show as they kind to do their final of this year, 2022. You know, they're going to be giving you some great insights. So it's going to be fascinating when you watch all this from that perspective. With that being said, Charles, you know, just because you are kindred with yourself, with the show here, and it is Alpha's Founders Day, I would be remiss if I didn't give you the last statement of this matchup. Seems like it's going 15-round matchup the way y'all throwing slugs already. You know, with a little bit of the ice, I'm going to let you do your thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know we're pressed for a little bit of time, but I want to say this. People all season have been carrying notebooks, writing notes. I see something here, and I see something here. Oh, we got something here. Guess what has happened? 12-0 has happened. Now I know there's a possession here, there's a possession there, but for 4 quarters, are you gonna be able to ring the bell? And I know Davis Richard is 6'3", 200. You have not seen Shedeur Sanders nowhere on your schedule. Well, South Carolina State, maybe you saw something similar there. Oops, my bad. Or you saw something similar.
Yeah, we got a mutual loss there in the last 4 months. Y'all lost to South Carolina State.
That's 2021. So,
you're right. It's okay. It's all
right. 3-8.
Yeah, last time y'all played them, y'all lost.
I'm just saying. Yeah. So,
Yeah, y'all lost to them last time.
Point being, I respect the MEAC. I respect what they've done in the Celebration Bowl. Hey, we're about to start a new cycle, and you can thank Jackson State for that. All right, Doc. That's all I got.
Appreciate it. This is Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I hope you enjoyed the show. We gave you a little extra time since big matchup. Look forward to this over the next 2 weeks, as we said. Thank you for listening Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Obviously, Mike Washington out on assignment. We have none other than A.D. Drew, B.J. Jones, and Joshua Sims Sr. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, and then on Sundays at 9 a.m. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube and Facebook. Like us, subscribe, make sure you share with your friends, download my JBN, my BCSN app. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon, Charles.
Of course.
AD.
Lecture.
Both BJ Jones and Joshua Sims.
Eagle Pride dismissed.